like it, and let them say yes, sir. Yeah, a year or two. They keep switching their little protocols, so they want the whole country at the airport, but they were the thugs or order, and they stole the votes from him. They did everything possible to crush him and keep him out. And proof, of course, more proof that Ron Paul is a great man.
Yeah, I've known Rand Paul for about 16 years, and I like a lot of things he stands for. He's one of the best people in the Senate, but some of his
Ron Paul is, my one exception. So I tend not to follow other politicians. I don't do it.
It's just to hear some of the Campaign for Liberty, some of Rand Paul people going, this is how we win. We merge with the Republicans. No, this is how we get co-opted. And so I guess that's why you don't have anything to do with it, because I guess that's where it leads.
The Republican Party is, of course, a corrupt and evil organization, just like the Democratic Party. I mean, they have different interest groups associated with them. They have different rhetoric, but there's no difference between them. And of course, we should be concerned with groups like the Bilderbergers or the Council on Foreign Relations or the Trilateral Commission or all these groups. When the power elite gets together for a secret meeting to talk about what our future ought to be, yeah, we ought to be concerned. And of course, you've been great about following these people. And trying to find out what they're saying, what they're planning, who belongs. It's very useful information. It doesn't mean that they're running the world, but they're part of the apparatus. No question that they're part of the.
Well, sure, they're meeting with government. They're meeting with government to try to get government to give them sweetheart deals, and that's why there's a problem. But it's worse than that. It's that when we used to point it out, the media said it didn't exist and we were crazy. So see, that's the big issue. We've forced this out in the open. Ron Paul, yourself, myself, and many others. And now that we've won that fight, that there are shadowy corporate crony capitalists who work with government, who are our arch enemy, now we're being lectured, well, okay, we should work with Bilderberg. I mean, that's the type of stuff coming out.
Well, I mentioned earlier that the government is a stupid organization. The people who aren't stupid, however, are these private interests, the power elite, the big banking families, the big industrial families, the plutocrats, Soros, Kochs, and so forth. These families are very smart. And they're able to make use of government to their own benefit. It also massively grows the government and hurts the rest of us. But you know what? They couldn't care less because they're in it for money and power. And so that's that's the way they operate. But we have to be concerned, and we have to be concerned about these power elite groups. And it gives us a peek. Very power elite analysis, as Murray Rothbard always called it, is just essential to look at. Other people would call it conspiracy theorizing, but to look at who these groups are, what they're trying to achieve, the government officials they work with against the rest of us. It's very, very important. And it again doesn't tell us everything, but it gives us a peek into their evil nature, and maybe gives us a hint about what they're planning. And to the extent we can have hints about what they're planning, it helps us to refute and to defeat what they're trying to do to us.
Well, I mean, look, they're saying we want a managed economy. We're going to pick winners and losers. and that is the antithesis of a free society. And as David Rockefeller's grandpa said, competition is a sin. John D. Rockefeller, and he said that over and over again in newspaper interviews. They want monopolies, and the Republican Party will never talk about that. The Democrats think all business is bad. The Republicans say, oh, it's all good, let it do whatever it wants. Well, no, it's not good if it comes in and puts regulations in that it's exempt to shut down its competition. I mean, it's so elementary. Let me ask you this, and then we're going to get into some of the other news topics and find out what's on your mind before we take a few calls. Lou Rockwell, where do you see all this going? I mean, if you have to stare out into the future with your considerable economic and historical research and gravitas, I mean, I read your writings every week, and astounding insight, and from all the amazing people you've worked with over the years, where do you see us going? I understand it's fluid. We're deciding the future ourselves, but seeing the current formations, obviously big conflict between liberty and tyranny, it's coming to a head, but where do you see it going if we don't defeat these people versus if we did kind of win the day? Because there have been times in history when we can get a grassroots brush fire to go where people really reject and kind of vomit out the control-freak government demon.
That's right, because they are a minority. They're a small minority. We are the vast majority. Think of us as a big friendly dog that's got a bunch of fleas on it. We are capable of scratching the fleas off, and they are just fleas as compared to the big friendly dog of the people. So it is possible to do it, but what do I see coming? I'm afraid we see more war. It looks like they want to go to war against Iran. They keep Obama as well as Romney as well as George W. Bush keep saying nothing is off the table when we go to war against Iran. What they're saying is we're prepared to nuke them. We're prepared to kill millions of people. And of course, they've never forgiven Iran for having tossed out the U.S. dictator, the Shah. You're not supposed to turn the clock back that way. Once the U.S. takes over a province, it's never supposed to be freed, and so they can't stand Iran for that reason. Economically, I think there are many things we can change things. You're exactly right. Things are fluid. We do have free will. We can change our ideas. We can change the future, but there are also economic laws, and what the Federal Reserve is doing in cahoots with the big banks and the big investment banks and so forth, in cahoots with the rest of the government, has been so dangerous, so harmful. There's never been anything like this in the history of the human race where we've had this kind of massive money creation by central banks all across the world. We've got very, very serious trouble ahead. That's destabilizing for the regime as well as for us. So I hope that we can turn it to our benefit in the sense that I hope we more and more, all of us, learn some economics. I hope that we learn something about what the power elite is doing, and we learn what ought to be done versus what they are doing, and why Ben Bernanke is such an unbelievably dangerous public enemy. I mean, and it's not only it was the head of the European Central Bank and the head of the Bank of Japan, and just go down the line. All these central bankers are some of the worst enemies mankind has ever faced. So they're doing horrendous damage to us. But if we can understand why that's bad, why they shouldn't exist, why central banking shouldn't even be here, why we need hard money, sound banking, honest banking instead of the dishonest banking that we have today. We don't need a bankocracy. The banks rule Europe. They rule here. They toss out prime ministers and install their own in Europe. A guy like Mitt Romney has been a tool of the investment bankers, Goldman Sachs and so forth, since he was a young man. So, and of course, Obama got massive support from these investment banks, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and all the rest of them. When he was running for office, he still gets massive support. So we need to learn about these people. We need to learn why they're economically so dangerous. But that's the first thing you have to learn. You have to study and just start with Henry Hazlitt's Economics in One Lesson. Start with Murray Rothbard's What Has Government Done to Our Money, or The Case Against the Fed, or Ron Paul's great book on End the Fed. Read these books, and then you'll understand just what our enemies are doing to us. Then we have a chance of defeating them.
I want to go to calls, but let's quantify this. There's two different trains in history. There's the creativity, those that love freedom, those that like being honorable, free association, and they're gangs. Gangs with flags, gangs writ large, what you were saying earlier, gangs with a flag. And sure, you can have nations that are more pro-liberty that can fight off another tyranny, but then they always end up becoming what they were organized against. But people need to understand, it's not like we're going to have total victory over corruption, or it's going to have total victory over us unless we give in. Every little battle, every little resistance, demonizing these people right now with their acts, exposing them, exposing police when they're out of control, then puts pressure on the bad ones. And so it's an ongoing battle. Every day is a pitched battle against this corruption.
And we always have to speak the truth. It's so powerful, just one person speaking the truth, they fear it, they hate it. And so whether we're talking about domestic oppression, international oppression, bankster oppression, crony capitalist oppression, warfare state, police state, TSA, all these things, speak the truth. They fear it, and of course that's the way you persuade other people too. Speak the truth. Don't be silenced. Don't be silenced. Don't be silent.
Let's talk to Craig in New York. Quick question, and then we're going to break. Craig.
Hello.
On the air, sir. Go ahead. Said on 60 Minutes that everyone that believes in the second coming of Christ is mentally ill, and now they have the New Freedom Initiative where they want to drug half the kids rolling out. Your take on that?
Well, there was a great article of all places in the New York Times
drugs literally make the brain smaller physically and make the heart bigger. I mean, totally hurts these kids. Some of the side effects are death. And they're like, we're going to put all your kids on it. I mean, it's insanity.
Hi, my name is Annette, and due to menopause symptoms for nearly 2 years, I suffered severe hot flashes, which prevented me from sleeping all night. It was so hard to work because it continued all day to have the hot flashes from hell. I was exhausted and depleted. After only 3 weeks on One World Way, I have no hot flashes, and I'm sleeping normally again. I feel energized and strong. This is an amazing product.
It is a little-known fact that every single cell of your body is supposed to produce 10% of its protein content as glutathione. But due to toxicity and aging, it does not. Could glutathione be a missing factor in optimal cell function for your entire body? If you restore the optimal glutathione levels in your cells, especially your glands and organs, then as a result, your glands and organs work better. Imagine the quality of life improvement you might have. To order One World Way, call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldway.com. That's oneworld.com.
25 years is reason to celebrate. Cash in on October deals during the 25th anniversary of Emergency Essentials. Going on now, save 26% off clarified butter, 24% off honey oat granola, and save 50% off a kitchen fire extinguisher. A must for any kitchen emergency. Stock your car with a Roadwise Emergency 72-hour kit, only $34.99 at BePrepared.com. New this month, 2 varieties of Mountain House just-in-case buckets. Your favorite Mountain House pouches packed in a convenient bucket. Find a super deal this month only for the Goal Zero Lighthouse LED Lantern and Nomad 7 solar panel. ISAD Potassium Iodide tablets are on sale. And as always, check out the Emergency Essentials group specials now through October 31st. Call 800-999-1863 for exceptional customer service and Emergency Essentials low price guarantee. That's 800-999-1863. The choice is clear. Be unprepared or BePrepared.com.
I don't mean to be nosy, but do you have the 37 food items you can't get in the coming disaster and may not survive without? As you already know, something big is about to hit the U.S., and you have got to be prepared. Did you know that your local grocery store only keeps a 3-day supply of food on hand? So if there is any interruption in our fragile